All right. Shout out to everybody tuning in. Welcome in. DodgerHeads, Blue Wire, or not Blue Wire Sports Network, Medium Large Sports Network. Thanks for tuning in. We're here with Ryan Burschinger and Beau Benson on the Sick Podcast. This is Dodger Zone. Dodger Zone.
Yeah, that's right.
Along with Monty Bolaños. Monty Bolaños is the third member.
Yeah, she's awesome. You got a good staff over there. So this is the next thing. We're talking Nolan Arenado. And I honestly can't still believe we're talking about it, but stuff, recently this past week about a trade that almost got done with the Houston Astros. Nolan Arenado invokes his no trade clause, says no. But the interesting part is that the Astros were willing to cover up to $59 million of Arenado's $74 million remaining on that contract. So if he's Arenado's kind of holding out for something, because he's not playing, doesn't want to play in St. Louis. He's holding out for Los Angeles. He's holding out for Los Angeles, Blake. Is that what he's doing?
It seems like it. It seems like the current rumors are, until he hears like an absolute no from the Dodgers, that he's going to keep trying to come to the Dodgers. A lot of questions about his fit and him as a player specifically. I think the only way I could even slightly be talked into it is if you're like sending back Chris Taylor and getting Ryan Hesley in the deal or something like that, where the Cardinals are giving the Dodgers value back. Because at this point, like, Nolan Arenado is not a positive asset to trade for with his contract and skill set at this age and this point in time. The Cardinals are trying to give him away. He's not going to get you back top prospects, or probably not even quality prospects, back in a deal. And the Dodgers have Max Muncy at third base. Mm-hmm. I don't think the Dodgers are going to play Max Muncy at second base. I don't think they're going to play him in left field, even though he played there for like 10 innings in 2018. Just doesn't make sense. He's not playing at second base without the platoon more specific, or the shift more specifically. Like, if you want to platoon Muncy and Arenado at third base, that makes sense. But you're not paying Arenado 30 to 60 million, whatever the Cardinals end up eating, to be a platoon guy at third base. He also has deferred money until I think 2040. So, like, you're going to be stuck with that contract for quite a while. Mm-hmm. I just don't really see a fit there, unless it's like a complete panic move and the Dodgers say, like, we're trading Lux and putting Muncy at second and just seeing how it goes and then fixing it later. But I just really don't see it happening at all.
Yeah. Damn, Blake. Damn. All right.
No,
the whole segment. That's it. The whole thing right there.
Jeez.
Time to move on.
Airs it out. Nothing. You don't find, Ryan, I know this is why I'm going to toss this right to you here. Mm-hmm. Blake, you don't believe there is any positive part of bringing Nolan Arenado in. Don't push me one way or another, Chad. Don't you do this. I'm purely just asking. There is nothing you're seeing that would be a positive of Nolan Arenado joining the Dodgers.
Be cool. Be a cool jersey to have. Like, Arenado's been a really good player for a long time. I mean,
that's right.
It'd be fun. He's a cool dude. But other than that, like, it doesn't make sense for the current team.
It's a lot of money left over. $74 million's a hell of a lot of money to absorb through a trade at a position that feels like a luxury. Ryan, talk to us, man, because there's some chat. I see Klein in here. He's talking to us that he sees positives with Nolan Arenado. I would like, if you've got some in the tank, air them out, man.
Okay, you know what? I will take the side of Nolan Arenado. Blake, sure, you've laid out very logical reasons, a lot of them. But here's my counter. Yes, obviously, his production has declined. If you look at his numbers last year, they weren't that great. If you look at the advanced metrics, they're actually worse. He does not hit the ball very hard. At least he didn't last year. But I'm going to believe in the man, okay? I'm going to buy into the talent for a couple reasons. Yes, he's 33, sure, on the downward slope of his career, but can still play third very well. Is only a couple of years removed from having a very long tenure as the best third baseman in baseball. But the biggest reason, by far, is the fact that the man, for his entire life, has wanted to play for the Los Angeles Dodgers, it seems like. He has been wooing and pursuing the Dodgers since he was in Colorado. And yes, his decline is only 1 year. And I fully believe if you bring in Nolan Arenado to the place that he has pined for his entire career, and you give him a team that has Shohei Ohtani and Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman and this incredibly loaded lineup, and he gets to play third base at Dodger Stadium every day with this incredible roster, those numbers will go back up. I fully believe that. I believe the actual mystique of playing for the Dodgers is something that could reinvigorate this incredibly talented third baseman. And yeah, Max Muncy, not a great second baseman, but we'll figure it out. Let's have him play second for a bit. Obviously, they've been rolling out the red carpet for him by saying, hey, Mookie's going to play short. He's not going to play second. He's going to play shortstop. So that means we can move Max to second, and Nolan, you can come in and play third base. And that's totally fine. And if they platoon here and there, yeah, so what? Sure, he's going to get paid till 2040, but what Dodger isn't at this point? And that's going to be pennies on the dollar then. That's fine. Go right ahead. So yeah, I'm going to buy into the person of Nolan Arenado, the man who wants to be a Dodger, the man who was on a Hall of Fame trajectory for much of his career. Let's bring him in. Let's add him to the middle of this lineup. I fully believe that it would be the exact sort of scenario that would bring his career back up. I'm not saying, 330 and 40 home runs or whatever, but like 270, 20 to 25 home runs. That's great with stellar defensive third base. Like, yeah, you take that. So I will be on the side of Nolan Arenado here.
I think
Blake, does this have you ready to run through a brick wall?
I think my concern would be you're looking at the middle of the Dodgers defense there with Mookie at shortstop and Muncy at second base. Like,
yeah,
I don't think I can get on board with that, even if Arenado has a rebound. I'd also point out that Arenado has been declining for 2 years now. It's not just one. Max
Yeah, because he doesn't want to be in St. Louis, man. Come on.
Yeah.
But that doesn't affect your hard hit rate and stuff like that, or your batted ball profile.
Does it make you think any different? Does it make you think of any different of Luis Robert? He doesn't want playing with the White Sox. Is that why he's been bad?
Probably.
I think that's more related to injury. But
why can't we just put Muncy at shortstop?
There we go.
Let's keep Mookie right. Let's be real. Let's stay right, Mookie.
my only thought on the scenario is I've seen a few people in the chat say that Brandon Gomes said that Max Muncy is our third baseman. And I would like to remind everybody that D. Gordon is our second baseman.
Never forget that, man.
Yeah. Everything these guys say right now is complete BS. Max Muncy very well will probably be the third baseman on opening day. But there's no reason to believe Brandon Gomes saying that right now. None whatsoever. If they can get the Cardinals to pay 75% of Arenado's contract and they think that they can fix something in his swing and get him to perform well for the next couple of years, they might do that deal, especially if the market dries up and they feel like they need to. But I think right now, there's just no spot for him.
Blake?
I think it really comes down to how comfortable they'd be with Muncy at second base, or even just moving Muncy into like a pure platoon role. Like, Muncy could make sense playing some first base too, but Freddie Freeman's going to fight Dave Roberts if he tries to sit him for more than one game a season. So like that doesn't even make full sense. Yeah. And if Muncy can't handle second base, then like what do you end up doing with Arenado and Muncy on the same team? You can't DH either of them because then you're losing Shohei. Like,
just put Ohtani in the outfield.
I am a full believer if Ohtani played the outfield, he would be
absolutely could.
He 100% loved that idea. He's loved that idea for quite some time.
But they're going to give him the chance to pitch this year, and until he can't pitch anymore, we'll see how long that lasts fully. But like, it's such a hard fit to actually put Nolan Arenado on the roster, even if you believe he's going to bounce back, unless you're getting rid of Muncy. And I don't think you can really bet on a bounce back and give away a good player like Muncy when you're like betting on Nolan Arenado to come back instead of being confident he can perform.
Yeah, if Arenado wanted to be a Dodger, the time was 2 years ago when he could have opted out, and he chose not to. So that's really the end of the story there for poor Nolan.
Blake, anything to the Dodgers exploring a deal like that where they can package him and Ryan Helsley? Because that's an attractive option there. That attacks a need as far as a back-end relief option there. And then Nolan Arenado, because he just feels like being a Los Angeles Dodger.
I mean, if you were just like basically buying Ryan Helsley and you were giving them like Chris Taylor and Gavin Lux back in the deal, I could be talked into that more so. If you're just trading for Arenado straight up, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. If you have Arenado as like a backup / platoon with Muncy, who moves into slight utility role for the cost of getting Ryan Helsley instead of giving Tanner Scott $60 million over 4 years, like I could buy into that one. I just don't think the Cardinals would necessarily be willing to do that. and it still just creates a lot of holes on your roster, like, or not holes, but like question marks around your team of who plays where, what happens. I know things tend to figure themselves out with the Dodgers with injuries and all that, but Muncy and Arenado aren't necessarily versatile players, and at least at positions that the Dodgers don't already have filled more or less. So it's just really hard. Like, if you told me Muncy could play an acceptable outfield or Arenado could play an acceptable middle infield or outfield, like, then I'm more for it. It's just they both pretty much exclusively play third base, and I think Muncy's the better player right now. So it's just hard to fit them both on the team.
Damn.
How far down is the bar for outfield from Teoscar Hernandez to Max Muncy, Blake? Lay it out for me. How many miles?
It's probably a good bit, and that's saying a lot because I don't think
crazy.
Teoscar's a good
That's
outfielder,
crazy, bro.
But like
That's what I'm saying.
This is also the team that had Howie Kendrick play left field for an entire year. Like,
Kendrick was a dog, man. You put some respect on Howie Kendrick, man.
if they told
do
Max
that.
Muncy, like, you're playing second base and left field, and they got him in better shape and increased his training and stuff, like, maybe he could be passable, but you're still betting on a lot there. I just don't necessarily think that's going to happen, especially if you bring, like, Teoscar back and have Conforto out there. Like, that's a really bad defensive team all around, especially for a team that more or less relies on their pitching staff. Like, they have a lot of really good starting pitchers. I'm not sure they'd love playing with the defense that is not going to make many plays for them.
Yeah. Just going to say, people brought it up. I know. I'm not advocating for Nolan Arenado to be a Dodger, but the hate on him is pretty surprising. It is. It's pretty surprising here. But 300 says I'd be more comfortable with Nolan Arenado at second than Max Muncy. Without the shift, there's a lot. I mean, Nolan Arenado can glove it with the best of them still. I believe that flat out. So, I mean, yeah, that says a whole lot without the shift restrictions now.
I do kind of agree with that sentiment there. And I feel like Arenado is probably capable enough to learn that position fairly quickly and well, but I just don't think they're going to do it. Like, Gavin Lux is a good defender at second base. I don't think middle infield of Mookie Betts and Max Muncy or Nolan Arenado is something you want to go into a season with.
Got you. Yeah, I mean, this all just falls in line with what I said. Like, the Dodgers don't hit on Teoscar Hernandez. That money, look at the same type of stuff. The Astros are willing to go cover, what did I say? How much was this?
Like 20 million, I think you said. Something around
there.
They
were willing to cover $45 million of Nolan Arenado's deal. So if you're not willing to just go out and get a deal done with Teoscar Hernandez, I don't see them going out and handing that money to go cover some Nolan Arenado's contract. I just don't. So that's where that all falls in line. If you guys followed the trend, that's where it was at. So Dodgers don't hit on Teoscar Hernandez. Don't see him going to get Nolan Arenado. That's just how it is. Get Teoscar done. Move on. Profit. Any final thoughts with Nolan Arenado? You guys really want that? Ryan, do you really want that, man?
I'm kind of toying with the idea of if you turned him into a utility infielder, like that's kind of hilarious. Like, but honestly, not insane, I guess. And it would be something that very much the 2025 Dodgers would do. It would just the embarrassment of riches is, oh, by the way, now Nolan Arenado can play anywhere in the infield, and he's just kind of plug him in wherever you want. That would be wild. I don't know if that's realistic, but I would like to live in that universe. Let's make it happen.
This is the next one. Super chat here from Zenji. Thank you so much for this one, man. Thanks for the super chat there. Robertson, the scouts really liked Hai-Song Kim last offseason. Any chance we sign him? He could play outfield. He could steal and play shortstop. So Blake, speak to this here. Do you know anything about him, or is this someone they're just keeping tabs on? They can pivot to, go from there. Do you have anything to speak on Kim?
Yeah, he's coming over from the KBO. I believe he's going into his age 26 season, or he might. Mm-hmm. He turns 26 on January 27th. So yeah, he's a left-handed bat, so might be a tough sell for the Dodgers already, unless they're moving Gavin Lux. But he's a very high contact, high on base type player. Not a whole lot of power. I think he topped out around like 11 home runs in his career in the KBO. Yeah. So they're going to expect some power regression there already. So, like, in the majors, you're probably looking at like a 5-homer player who's going to hit around 280 maybe with a 330-ish on base percentage. Like, yeah, he's really similar to Gavin Lux, and I don't think the Dodgers are necessarily going to be in on that, especially with Mookie as their shortstop.
I refuse to believe that is a thing that's actually going to happen again, is Mookie at shortstop. I can't.
We
do
can
that.
bring you back on for you and me to
Can't-
go into just an
can't-
echo chamber of our own thoughts with
can't do
Mookie Betts
that.
at shortstop.
We
We could do that
There's
if we
no
want.
way, man. There's no way they're gonna try that again.
I mean, they are. Better believe
I
it.
know.
I said early on last year that I was on Dodgers territory, and I was saying, it was highlighting how bad it was because Mookie Betts, creature of habit, he's going to put him nose to the stone and really work at something. And it started to regress a part of his offensive game, and it bugged me. Like Gavin Lux not being able to play shortstop bugged the hell out of me. That was a move that it just threw a whole wrench in the entire groove you had going. Mookie Betts was on a trajectory to win another MVP. The rest is history there. So to start that experiment again, it's not going to be an experiment. It's going to be the plan. Barring anything else, Mookie Betts is going to take the entire offseason to line it up at shortstop. I believe he has what it takes there. But I would love for them to have another option. If it was Tommy Edman playing the everyday shortstop, cool. But I just truly felt that Mookie Betts, the second baseman, sounds better. I think that's the better plan for the rest of his career, unless he's playing right field, however that shakes out. It's just that somebody exists by the name of Gavin Lux, and that's what's happening. So he's going to be at second base, barring a trade or anything else there. So
yeah, I mean, and we all know that if they were close to getting Devin Williams, that Gavin Lux was going to Milwaukee, right? Like that's just agreed upon. So like I wouldn't feel very comfortable if I was Gavin Lux. I would have a feeling that second base might be open for Mookie Betts by the time the season rolls around.
So yeah, I did report the other day that Gavin Lux was involved in the discussions for Devin Williams, and then it came out that Devin Williams thought he was going to be a Dodger, and they were telling him it was closed. And then I believe the other day, David Vassay on AM 570 said Gavin Lux still isn't necessarily safe on this roster, so maybe that is playing to the Nolan Arenado stuff. Maybe they're willing to try him or Muncy at second base, or Arenado has said he'd play shortstop, which I think I'd be less confident in that than with Mookie there. But I don't know, maybe they're willing to try it and see how it goes and then address it later. You have Miguel Rojas as a backup option, worst case scenario. You have Tommy Edman as a potential option there. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it could, I guess. Slightly, maybe potentially 5% odds.
Go ahead, BB.
I was super on board with bringing back Cody to play center and just sticking Tommy at shortstop. I thought that would have been fine to do. Obviously, the Yankees wanted that more, so poo-poo on me, I guess. But
yeah, Blake, credit to you for getting a little bit a scoop on that. When you did and bringing that to our attention there. So I think that I'm not going to ask you percentage-wise stuff like that with Gavin Lux, but it's something to note. I mean, we even see it. Like Gavin Lux had big hits. We understand that. And I know a lot of people bring that up that, everybody talking about trading Gavin Lux. No, it's about maximizing every position you can. And again, the word we bring up, opportunistic. It's being opportunistic about the roster. And can you upgrade on a thing? Because at the root of it, I truly believe that Mookie Betts is going to be the second baseman going forward once they figure that out. I think that with shortstop, it's that for the now, Gavin Lux is at second base, and Mookie Betts is going to do everything he can to learn shortstop and all the nuances that come with it because it's a lot. So I think for the now, that's what it's going to be. And Ryan, you can take over from here with second base. Do you kind of co-sign the fact, that Gavin Lux has been rumored in those trade talks here? That's not the long-term plan. Do you see Mookie Betts sliding back to second and they try to figure out shortstop?
I hope that that's what happens because I think we saw that Mookie seemed more comfortable when he was at second. I mean, obviously he's a freak athlete and he can play wherever he wants. But it just felt better to have him at second and then have somebody who's a more natural short. Ideally, I'd like Tommy Edman to actually be the full-time shortstop and then find a way to fill in center field instead.
Yeah.
And I do wonder, this is just spitballing here, but is there a possibility, and Blake, maybe you can answer this, is there a possibility that Gavin Lux still ends up in Milwaukee? Is there a way that a Christian Yelich gets moved and that sort of contract movement, requires somebody like Gavin Lux being in a deal like that?
I think if Lux was still to go there, it would probably be for some prospects who aren't on the 40-man roster, just because Milwaukee does need to add a middle infielder. They added Caleb Durbin, but he can also play every other position too. So it's not set that they're going to have Durbin at one of the infield spots necessarily, but he does give them another option. So I think the ship is more or less sailed on Lux going to Milwaukee for the time being. But I don't think it would happen for any like major player on the team, but it could happen for like a prospect or two, that just for the Dodgers to essentially clear a 40-man space, because they're at 39 players right now, and we're talking about they still want to add a reliever, they still want to add a starting pitcher, they still want to add an outfielder. Like, you're going to have to create some 40-man spots here soon.
Mhm.
I also reported Hunter Fiducia was part of their trade talks. That would have cleared a 40-man spot. So I'd be pretty surprised if Fiducia isn't traded at some point this offseason. They already have 4 catchers on their 40-man, but
Yeah.
like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these more fringe type players end up getting traded here. And I would throw Lux into that a little more than like a starter that's locked into a spot.
Yeah, absolutely. I love what you brought up there. You know, guys, chat, thanks for tuning in again. These are the conversations that not a lot of people like to have, where it comes from, you know, making a decision where, yes, Lux won a World Series here, had a big hit there late in the game for the clincher. And we understand, but it's about being opportunistic and upgrading around the roster, looking at his contract, looking at where he's at in his current career, and looking at a player like Mookie Betts, who's better suited to play second base. And Gavin Lux is a platoon second baseman who, you know, has issues with throwing, playing shortstop, the position that he got brought up through to play. So unless Gavin Lux dramatically turns around his ability to hit lefties, he is a platoon guy who can only play second base for the moment. And that's not very valuable on a roster where they covet versatility. And that's where a player like Kike Hernandez can come in, and you're saying, I'd be much more comfortable having a player like Kike Hernandez on the roster than Gavin Lux. And that's just flat out how it is. So it's of note that Gavin Lux was included, you know, reportedly included in these trade talks here.